Our next guest is a very funny individual. He's been traveling around the country helping people save their backs. Please welcome Michael Melnick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One of the things that I emphasize a lot when I talk to people about how to take care of their back is the need for movement and change of posture. It's something that we forget to do, but if you think about it, anybody out there that's ever hurt your back before, what's one of the things you almost need to do in order to get comfortable? You got to move and change positions, and it works just as well before you have the problem. Here's the issue. We tend not to think about using movement and change of posture before we have the problem. Guy's been working all day long, forward bent position, back's tired, neck's tired, comes home from a long day of work, and what's he do? Sits down in his chair, pretty much in the same kind of posture. In walks the guy's cat, curls itself up in a ball at his feet. Lousy posture. Its head is butted up against its rear end. That's not good posture. But what does that cat do every 10 or 15 minutes? Yeah, it wakes itself up and does these great backward stretches, and the guy's sitting there in his chair looking at it going, man, that sure looks like that feels good. He doesn't move a muscle. And the cat's looking up at him going, yeah, and we're the ones with the smaller brains. We've got a lot we could learn from cats. And you know why? Because they have smaller brains. It means that they have to act on what their body is telling them to do, and we could learn a lot from that. Try this. Actually, don't try this. Just imagine this. Walk up to a really, really old cat, grab it by the scruff of the neck, and toss it into the air. How does it land? You know what that cat does? Mid-air, it, whoom, 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 and then boom, sticks all four. And we're looking at it and we're amazed. We're thinking, how in the world can an old cat still do that? And the reason that an old cat can still do that is because every day as it's laying there, it's imagining that at any moment, some crazy human being is going to come by and whoop. So what does it spend its day doing? Well, I'm probably going to need one of these. I'm probably going to need one of these. Probably going to need one of these. Now, let's bring it back to the human side. How do we spend our day? Well, I really only need to reach to here and bend to here and do this, so we don't do a lot of movement and change of posture. Finally, at the end of the day, I get up from my desk, I'm walking out the door, there's a puddle on the sidewalk, and what happens? All of a sudden, whoa, that's a movement I need to do, and I haven't done that movement in 37 years. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Michael, good to see you. That cat story is something, I think we've all done things like that when we were young to our cats. We kind of drove our cat crazy.
Don't do it, please, really.
So you've been busy?
I have been really busy.
Yeah?
And
Good.
actually, I'm very glad to be here because this is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah,
This
we love to
idea
have you
of
too.
Moving and stretching.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that people can do to keep themselves healthy and comfortable, while we may not remember to do it, it's actually the easiest one to do.
And the cheapest.
And the least expensive.
Right.
Absolutely no equipment necessary for this particular one. But the biggest thing, and there's actually a few different points, but one of the biggest ones, and people just really struggle with getting this piece, is that movement is what energizes us, and a lack of movement is what tires us out.
Yeah.
Because there's a tendency, if I'm tired, my brain is interpreting that as, okay, I need to just stop doing anything. And our bodies are in there going, no, you need to get up, you need to go for a walk, you at least need to change positions or something.
Right.
And that's what drives the energy.
Yeah.
And we actually know that. It's funny. You've got kids, right?
Right.
Yeah. If it's late at night and your kids don't want to go to bed, right? I mean, I'm sure most of the parents out there that can relate to this. Would you say to your kids to get them to go to sleep, go run around the kitchen table 20 times, and when you're really tired, we'll put you to bed?
No,
right?
that wouldn't work.
I don't think that's going to work. The kid's not going to go to bed for like a month, right?
Yeah.
What we would do is we would take the child and we would put them into a darkened room and we would sit them down and we would talk to them for an extended period of time, right? And the kid's out. Well, what I've just described is bedtime for a kid, and it's a seminar for an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, we get the same results with both of those. So the first thing for people to understand is that in many instances when we're tired, what our body really does want is movement and change of posture in order to recover and get re-energized.
Now, what about this rule of opposites?
Rule of opposites basically just means that our body likes change. It likes variety. If I said to you, hold your eyes open for as long as you possibly could, your eyes are going to start to burn, right? Well, you can get rid of that fairly simply by doing what?
By closing my eyes.
Closing your eyes. It's the opposite. You do one thing, it becomes demanding, and you do the opposite.
Okay.
If I said take a very deep breath, hold it for as long as you can, pretty soon your lungs are going to start to burn and get uncomfortable. What would you do to make them more comfortable?
Release the air.
You'd release the air.
Yeah.
You've done the opposite.
Yeah.
All right? I've been sitting here for, a minute or two. It's not that it's terribly demanding, but if I really want to be very comfortable by the time I leave, I need to do the opposite, which would be what?
That would be to stand.
All I would need to do would be to stand up.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
Thank you. All
It
right.
feels good. I like it.
The whole idea is it's nothing major. It's just saying if you identify what you do, I identify what I do, I look at the demands that are associated with it, and then I start identifying what's the opposite of that. If I'm working in a factory and I'm bent over like this, I need to recognize this, because then what do I need to do periodically? I just
up
need
straight.
to do the opposite.
Yeah.
If I'm
Can I
working
sit
with-
now?
You may
Is that
sit
all right?
now.
All right.
I will sit now as well.
Okay.
But the whole idea is I try to get people to identify positions and identify some of the tasks they do, and then just along with that, identify some of the things that are the opposite, and then set up some cues in their environment that will remind them once in a while, because the brain's not going to think of it. So if a buzzer goes off, or I know after 20 pieces of working on a line, assembly line or whatever, that I know it's time for me to do the opposite, then it just becomes part of the pattern of what I do.
You're talking about creating a routine.
It's creating a
Yeah,
routine.
right.
And I've worked with organizations where I've even seen people who will take a little egg timer, maybe put a little towel over it so it doesn't make too much noise,
Yeah.
but they'll set it for 20 minutes. And when it goes off in 20 minutes, whatever I'm doing,
The breakfast is done.
the breakfast is done.
There you
The
go.
egg is done.
Yeah.
It's time to do something different. If I'm forward bending, go backward. If I'm working overhead, change position. If I've been sitting, I need to stand. And
Makes
people
sense.
just need that routine. And pretty soon what happens? They don't need the egg timer anymore,
Yeah.
because the body truly does start to get into that routine.
So you can actually develop these patterns. These
Absolutely.
routines.
Do you have any patterns, Jay?
I do.
That you could talk about on television?
I wake up and I usually read the paper.
Right.
And I
And
have
where did
a
that start?
cup of coffee.
Probably just from doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And it probably would be a hard pattern to break, and we've all got those.
Yeah.
And the body doesn't like to change. That's the hard thing, and that's why we need help changing these patterns.
The older you get, also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got movement increases energy, and a lack of movement decreases energy. We've got the rule of opposites. Another one is that the number one fuel source that your body's using right now, everybody out here, is oxygen. We need oxygen to continue to function. We think that breathing is opening up our mouths and sucking oxygen in. But as far as the body's concerned, breathing is sucking the oxygen in and then making sure you deliver it to the body parts that need it.
Getting it to your hands or your legs, if
Or
you're
your back.
a sprinter, or your back.
Or your back, absolutely. We watch sprinters before a race, that's what they're doing. They're moving around and making sure they are fully filled with oxygen before they take off for the race. The only time they're going to get tired is when they stop moving, so they want to keep breathing.
Right.
So if people can remember that the number one fuel that they need during their day is oxygen, and what are they doing during the day to deliver that oxygen to the body parts that are working, they will be significantly more comfortable by the end of the day. So if you think about movement increasing energy, if you think about applying the rule of opposites periodically, if you think about the idea of letting your body breathe throughout the day, and then, and this is the big one, and this is probably the tough one for everybody, is if you think about that happening before you're tired. Think about it happening before you've got fatigue. It's preventive. And we're all not very good at that. As soon as my neck hurts, I'll do something. As soon as my back hurts, I'll do something. And what I need people to understand is that all of us go through, fatigue and then discomfort and then greater discomfort and then pain. Well, it's typically somewhere down this line that the message gets loud enough that we'll go, oh, I need to stretch, or oh, I need to change positions. And what I need people to think about is you're either preventing or you're apologizing.
Great. Well, as always, thanks for coming by.
My pleasure.
You going to visit
Thank
us
you, Jay.
again?
Invite me.
Okay,
You
great.
bet.
Michael Melnick. We'll be right back.